Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? It's so easy with Anchor.
Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use.
And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what we're doing right now by reading this ad. We struggled to find the right way to distribute our podcast, and Anchor made it quick, easy, and free. We're on platforms we had never heard of, and that's all thanks to Anchor doing the hard work.
So, if you have been thinking about starting your own podcast, head on over to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start.
I don't want to go home and dump like Great Aunt Edna out of my shoe or something like that, so... Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Spilling the Mad Tea. It's Kelly here with Rachel, Katie, and Stephanie. How is everyone doing?
Hey!
Hi!
I've been better. I just came down with a cold because, it's the season of change and my body is not liking fall. It is like, go back to summer.
I don't want to go back to summer, but I don't like the way that I'm feeling either. I got up and my throat's funny, and I'm just, the last time I did this a couple of weeks ago, it was like hell trying to get it back together. So I'm just like trying to fight it with orange juice and water and stuff.
Well, I have been trying to embrace fall because we don't get a very long fall in the South. It's like 2 weeks if we're lucky. So I went to North Georgia and went up to the mountains.
Oh, look at you.
I've been trying to drink in all the fall, even though it's still been in like the high 80s here. But in the South, high 80s is fall.
Until this morning, and it was 55 fucking degrees, and I had to wear a damn jacket to work.
I did not wear a jacket, but it was amazing. It felt so good.
It is truly fall out here where I live. We went to see the changing aspen trees yesterday, and when we got in the car, it was 28 degrees. So it was quite cold. So to me, Halloween, and I'm counting the entire month of September and October as Halloween, is the best time of the year. And listening to / watching / absorbing any kind of spooky stuff is like my favorite thing in the entire world. So how do you guys feel about spooky season?
I be loving spooky season.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I saw you type out that question. I was like, what does she think we're going to say? Halloween is the worst. I hate it. I wish it would just go away. Yeah, I'm all about
we
Halloween.
are witches, so we love the spookies.
That's true.
I just needed a question.
I know. We officially embraced our witchiness last year when we went to visit Kelly around this time, and it was a lot of fun. And I feel even more connected to the Halloween season than I did before.
Yeah, I think that's how I am. I'm very connected to the spooky season because of that. Otherwise, I'm like, Christmas!
Honestly, I feel like 335 days of the year, I'm like pretty straight-laced and, I don't know, boring. But October, I feel like I can get a little like spooky and like step outside myself a little bit. So I really like Halloween.
Although I agree with the sentiment of like spooky season bringing out like the witchiness in all of us. You're not boring any other time of the year, Stephanie. So do not talk about yourself that way.
Yes, Mom.
She got trouble.
Well, I hope you all have your spooky pants on today because we're coming at you with...
Hold on, let me change. They're just gray sweatpants, but I definitely have appropriate spooky pants.
I do have candy corn pants, and I'm disappointed that I'm not wearing them every single 31 days
I've got
of October.
pumpkin pajamas I could be wearing. Okay, next episode.
Yeah, it's too late. We're not pausing so y'all can go change into your spooky pants. Put your metaphorical spooky pants on, and let's go.
Tag us in your spooky pants pictures on Instagram.
Let's all compare our spooky pants.
Oh my God, please.
We're coming at you with 13 Disney urban legends. We'll be leaving out any urban legends that involve Disney parks ghosts because I think Katie wants to do an episode on that a little bit later, so we'll get around to that one. So I also tried to pick stories that err on the side of creepy or unsettling, just so be prepared for that. There were several I found that were too mundane or just silly or stupid, so those will have to be saved for another day. So let's start with what is most likely the most ridiculous and well-known Disney urban legend, that Walt Disney was cryogenically frozen after his death so that when the technology becomes available, he could be reanimated. Get it? Reanimated.
I hope this one's true. I do.
I would love for it to
Y'all,
be true.
it ain't fucking true.
But I'm going to burst your bubble and tell you it's not true.
You
That
don't
man
know
is
that.
dead.
He was not cryogenically frozen. He was actually like the opposite of frozen. He was cremated.
Ouch.
Yeah, he was cremated and buried in Forest Lawn Cemetery in Glendale, California. I think this rumor kind of got started because Walt was seen as like such a technological innovator, and he was super private about like his personal life and his burial plans. Like, he didn't want any of that information kind of out. So I think people were just like, well, he was going to come back because that's like the forefront of death, I guess, is like wanting to come back. And like sci-fi was like a big thing in that time period. He died in 1966, so like all of those new ideas were just coming about and like bubbling up. So it was like, of course, this man who's like innovated all of these things and is head of this huge company is gonna come back. And like, I totally get that, like, that's a hopeful thing. People would want him to come back, but it's not gonna happen. Sorry, guys.
So I had a trainer when we were training at Magic Kingdom and touring the tunnels for the first time, who thought that making jokes about like, oh, and Walt's head is this cryogenically frozen head is this way, and don't go behind this door, you won't find Walt's head. It was funny the first like 2 times, and after that it was like, shut up.
Like, okay, you made your joke once, but that's
That's
it.
too much.
Yeah.
If he's not cryogenically frozen, I think it would be really cool in 200 years. There was some other way to like repopulate his consciousness and to like bring back a robot version of his brain to just go, this is what you guys did with the place.
Yeah. He'd be fucking pissed.
What if we pulled a Jurassic Park and like pulled his DNA and combined
Right,
it with a frog,
exactly.
and there was like a Walt dinosaur frog hybrid running around? That actually sounds terrifying.
I'm here for it.
Why a frog? Why did you choose frog?
Because that's what they did in Jurassic Park. They combined the DNA that they found from the mosquito and the amber with like whatever DNA sequence.
Oh, I guess I missed the part where they combined it with a frog. I thought you were just pulling
No,
frog out
I
of your
hate
ass,
frogs,
like,
so no.
What DNA would it be combined with? Frog. I know. I was like, you of all people, why
Yeah,
pick
no,
frog?
that's just how it happened. Like, they finished the DNA sequence with frog DNA, so that's
Yeah.
where I got that
My
from.
bad. I guess your girl needs to rewatch Jurassic Park.
How do we segue from one to another?
Ashes, the cremated. Go off that.
All right. Well, so Walt was cremated, but here's the deal.
Yes.
He was, but here's the deal. That there is an urban legend about everybody, like, I don't even really know if you could call this necessarily urban legend, but everybody want to scatter their damn ashes at Disney World.
Well, listen, if I was going to haunt somewhere and not really move on, wouldn't you want to be haunting the Magic Kingdom?
Well, yeah, forever.
I mean, yeah, but I also don't want somebody to, like, go to jail for it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. But let's talk about the ways that you could do it without being detected. Because there are ways. I've already told Cameron to put my ashes in a baby powder bottle and just be like, oh, I'm so sweaty in here.
Oh, gross. Apparently that's already been done because there was a lady that was caught scattering a powdery substance on pirates, but she said it was just baby powder.
Really?
But did she have it in the baby powder container? I mean, I'm okay being mixed with a little baby powder for all eternity. If it means I'm Disney.
Oh, Lord.
You're going to get swept up by a cast member, put into a trash can, and you're going to be haunting the utilidors for the rest of your life. Like, it's not going to...
No, because I am going at the base of a tree. Put me like in the hub grass, which I think it's turf, or like some like sort of. You can put me at a resort. Put me in like a flower box. Don't put me on like the Haunted Mansion floor where someone's gonna vacuum me up. Put me like in the grass somewhere, and I will just be one with the land.
But you will also be, like, it rains too much, you'll be, wasted away on down somewhere.
That's okay. At least I got one more Disney vacation.
Cremated remains make some of the best fertilizer. You just wash into the earth and then you'd be one with Disney. I'm with Steph. Okay, I changed my mind. I changed my baby powder plant. I want to be in the grass too.
All right, well, I guess we're all going to be in the grass. But here's the deal. Don't let your people get caught because it's illegal.
Yeah.
And they go into jail.
Yeah.
I
You
mean,
don't want that.
I don't want to be like rolling in the grass when anyone else's like family member remains.
Yeah.
But that's where I want to be.
I don't want to go home and dump like Great Aunt Edna out of my shoe or something like that.
Gross.
So if you're gonna do it,
Yeah.
do it smart.
Yeah. But don't do it.
I
But
feel
just don't
like
do it.
there are some, for every person who gets caught, how
Yeah.
many people didn't get caught? Like, they're probably everywhere anyway.
Well, it says there have been no confirmed reports of people scattering ashes in a Disney park. So not confirmed, which means no one's ever gotten caught.
What?
But like,
There you go. Some overzealous cast members have been like, what is that substance? And it's probably never ended up being human remains. And the people who are actually doing it are doing it smart enough that they're not getting caught. The cast urban legend was always that Haunted Mansion cast members were trained to identify what cremated human remains look like. I think it's bullshit too. But if we have any Haunted Mansion cast members or previous cast members, current cast members listening, let us know. Give us the inside scoop. Spill the tea. Yeah, my money is on bullshit. They barely trained us in the first place. They're certainly not going to be like, this is what human remains look like. Bitch,
Yeah.
that's dust.
I didn't even have a trainer. I was just kind of thrown in there. So, no, I highly doubt they're training you
Aw,
to
bless.
be a forensic scientist in Haunted Mansion while you're trying to load people on and off the doom buggies.
yeah, they'd have to pay you more than $7 an
Yeah.
That was such a big like rumor though, especially at working at Magic Kingdom. I could have stopped and asked literally anyone in a Haunted Mansion costume in the Utilidors. But of course I never did, and neither did anybody else. So the rumor was always, oh yeah, well over at the Haunted Mansion, you get trained to
But can't you
identify human
picture
remains.
like one guy who takes his job very, very, very seriously, who happens to be
Yeah.
a trainer, who includes this in his training sessions and is go, okay, so you may think this is just dust. This is not just dust. It's
You
a
gotta
little
taste
chunky.
it.
yeah, right? I could definitely see someone including that. And everyone else being like, oh, okay.
I think we've all worked with that guy
Oh,
before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't scatter ashes. It's illegal.
Speaking of the Haunted Mansion, have you guys heard that the hearse outside Disneyland's Haunted Mansion once carried Brigham Young to his burial site in 1877?
No, I have never heard that.
For those of you who don't know, Brigham Young is the second president of the Mormon Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And he was like an American religious leader, politician, and he helped settle Salt Lake City, and he was the first governor of Utah. And so like important guy. So the legend goes that this hearse carried him to, like, in his funeral procession, because apparently Mormons were known for having white hearses. So the hearse's last owner, Dale Rickards, bought the hearse from a Las Vegas antiquities dealer. So Dobie Doc was given the hearse by a
That's the
Young
eighth
from Salt
dwarf.
Lake City. What'd you say?
That's the 8th dwarf is Dobie Doc.
So he was gifted this hearse by someone in the Young family from Salt Lake City who claimed it was used to carry the body. So he was trying to sell it off to this Dale Rickards, and he was like, oh, yeah, like I got this, I know the story, I'll write it down, and we can get it notarized. So that's what they did, apparently, and Dale Rickards bought the hearse for $500. He then tried to sell it to the Mormon Church for $25,000, and they weren't interested, as the former director of the church's museum was like, it's not, like, a hearse isn't really, like, important to, like, the narrative we're trying to tell here. So they passed, and they weren't interested. But he's also come out to say that Young had, like, very clear funeral directives in his will, which instructed for pallbearers to carry his casket during his funeral. So the museum claims that there's no historical evidence to support this urban legend, and the way it ended up at Disneyland was it was supposed to be used in a proposed Young Indiana Jones epic stunt spectacular. But when the show never came about, Imagineer Bob Baranek suggested they put it in front of the Haunted Mansion. Tony Baxter didn't think it made enough sense with the story of the attraction, so he proposed hitching the hearse to a phantom horse, because those, like, you know, those leashes with, like, the invisible dogs, those were really popular at the time.
Yes.
So that's where he got the idea from, and thus we have the Haunted Mansion hearse. Well, the one in Disneyland, anyway. In the Magic Kingdom, that hearse had its own brush with fame, as it was used in the film The Sons of Katie Elder with John Wayne.
How fancy.
Yeah.
Disney can't just get a regular fucking hearse.
But I mean, like, how many antique hearses do you think are, like, rolling around? I think they've got, like, limited numbers. So you're going to go to, like, some antique dealer or some prop shop and pick one up, and there's going to be something weird attached to it. Whether or not it's true or not takes a little more debunking.
I wonder if Disney paid $25,000 for it, or if they were like, nah, that's not worth $25,000.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't find that anywhere. I'd be curious.
I very much doubt that they paid that much.
Well, I watched a video with this Dale Records, and he was like, I told Disney they should turn around and sell it to the church for $1 million. They could get $1 million out of it. Yeah.
Dale sounds like a quack.
Yeah, he sounds like he's just out for some money.
Got, like, a big, like, Western film studio out in Malibu. And so, like, they said, like, the video was, like, there was props all over his property. So I'm sure, who knows what's true over there.
He's probably just making up stories for every single prop he has and trying to sell it for it.
Good on him.
More than I mean, good for you, sir. If you actually get some sales out of that. Another little myth is got to do with the old Skyway. It's about the reason why it ended up closing down. This is what is said, is that they closed down because a guest had fallen out of one of the buckets and died. But the truth is that it closed down because it became too expensive to repair.
Oh.
And the money that it would have taken to repair it was better spent elsewhere.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
There were incidents on both the Walt Disney World and the Disneyland Skyway attraction, but these were not the reasons for its closure. In Disneyland, the Skyway closed in November of 1994. In April of 94, a man did jump out of one of the buckets onto a tree, and he later tried to sue Disney, claiming he fell out, but he was advised to drop the lawsuit.
What would behoove you to think you can try to sue Disney knowing good and well how many witnesses there were to that event, seeing you jump out of a sky bucket?
That's why he's stupid. And that's why he said,
also,
drop it.
Disney lawyers.
Right. And then in the Walt Disney World Skyway, it closed in November of 1999. And in February of that same year, a custodian was cleaning the Fantasyland platform when an attraction cast member turned on the ride, not realizing the custodian was in there. The bucket started coming right at him, and he tried to climb inside one, but lost his grip and fell, which he did not survive from.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's sad.
Yikes!
Yikes. So that brings us to one of the, I think, biggest and most perpetuated myths is that, quote, no one dies on Disney property.
I'm guilty of perpetuating that.
I
think I am too.
guilty of that. I used to think I was so cool to be like, well, did you know? They don't pronounce them dead on the scene so that they can say that no one died on Disney property. No. Obviously, like, our unfortunate custodial cast member, he did die from that fall. He did die on Disney property. No one can say that he didn't. There are confirmed cases of people dying on property. Unfortunately, deaths do happen, and Disney is no exception to that.
I remember reading that, like, in the state of Florida, you can only be declared by a doctor. And so if there's an incident in Walt Disney World, they'll call an ambulance and they'll bring you to a hospital and you'll be declared dead at the hospital. So there's, like, a difference between actual death and declared death. And so people are only declared dead off property. Again, I don't know how true that is, but I remember reading that somewhere.
Yes. So that's what I also remember. And that's why I used to always tell people that like that as facts, like, oh, well, but they're not declared dead until they're off property. I did have a paramedic friend tell me that the weird legality with that is that a patient can be like dead on scene or dead on arrival or something like that. And then it's like pretty much confirmed at the hospital, but they are still legally dead on the scene. So like they are dead at whatever property they're on. So unfortunately, there have been several deaths at Disney parks over the years, and news outlets do use that same wording, the victim was pronounced dead at the scene. But also just using, like your common sense. There are some pretty graphic deaths that have happened that there's no way that person survived. Like the girl who was crushed at what was it called? America Sings in Disneyland. She didn't survive that. Like, she was crushed. So, like, this is obviously a very sensitive subject and a morbid subject. We actually would love to do a more in-depth episode about some of these deaths and what occurred and why it occurred, what changes it implemented. But we don't want to do that unless that's something you guys would be interested in hearing. So let us know. Reach out to us. And maybe we'll have a more in-depth episode on that coming soon.
I know it's something I would be very interested in talking about, but in a respectful way.
Because there is a morbid curiosity with death and dying and accidents and things like that. And it happening at the happiest place is like this juxtaposition of happiness and joy and death. And I think it could be a very cool episode. So please respond and tell us that you'd like to listen to that.
So from going to the possibility of someone actually dying into a park to what? No, that's not right. So to go from the possibility of someone actually dying in the park to a big old myth, it was rumored that before the Disneyland Haunted Mansion opened in 1969, there was a preview of the attraction in which a man had a heart attack and died because the ride was so terrifying. This supposedly prompted Disney to tone down the ride before its opening day. That's not right. That's not true.
I was about to say, that better not be true.
That is
incorrect. No one's ever died in the Haunted Mansion, so they've never gotten their 1,000th happy haunt. I guess everyone keeps forgetting to bring their death certificate.
Uh-huh.
The Haunted Mansion went through many difficulties before its opening day, which might have prompted this rumor to start. In the design process, there was a bunch of conflicting opinions on what the attraction should even look like. Then the 1964 World's Fair rolled around, and a ton of effort and time went into creating the attractions for that. And then Walt died in 1966, which just further delayed Haunted Mansion's opening. And I also kind of think like the rumor of someone dying from fright might have been a great way to drive people to get interested in the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So, I mean, it was kind of like just all free publicity for that. I also want to do an entire episode on Haunted Mansion one day because I could go on about that forever.
I also think that, like, as fascinated as people are with the true deaths that have happened, they're just as much as, if not more, fascinated with, like, the deaths that get made up that happen.
Definitely.
Also, I feel like it counts as 1,000 happy haunt if your ashes were spread.
Oh my God, there's got to be so many there.
So our next myth that we're moving on to is something called Abandoned by Disney. And this is based around this place called Mowgli's Palace that was supposedly a resort opened up in North Carolina based off of the Jungle Book. There's no truth to this. It's actually a creepypasta story written by Christopher Howard Slimebeast Wolf. I don't even...
What? That is not a name.
Yeah, and the whole story was titled Abandoned by Disney. And I've actually read this, and it is pretty creepy. Do you guys know what creepypastas are?
No.
Nope.
So they're like these creepy internet stories that are like passed around on different forums as like truth. I mean, they're basically like modern urban legends and stuff like that. And apparently the word creepypasta comes from the word copypasta, which was an internet slang term for a block of text that gets copied and pasted over and over and over again. There's a whole website for these. I kind of enjoy reading them because they are creepy. But this Abandoned by Disney thing, there was apparently this guy went exploring this Mowgli's palace, and like he found these like the fur characters for Donald and Mickey, like their costumes, just like leaning up against a wall, and he like took the head off of Donald's costume and a skull rolled out, and there's like spray painting on the walls that says Abandoned by Disney and like all this nonsense, but it's totally not true.
Was it supposed to be like taken as nonfiction, or it was like always intended?
These stories are put out there kind of as they are true, like these are true things, but they're not. It's just an urban legend that's passed around, just like a modern one. But I think people kind of took that and ran with it, and they were like, oh yeah, did you hear about Mowgli's palace? Like it was opened for like a few months and then closed under mysterious circumstances and stuff like that.
Weird.
If you want to be a little creeped out, you can go find the story online. Just type in Abandoned by Disney and you should be able to find it.
Creepypastas fascinate me because I think the younger generation who are like I want to say it was our generation who kind of started making these, or like popularizing these. And then the younger generation is like taking them and run with them, to the point though where that like the lines are being blurred.
Everything's fake news.
Fiction and reality. But really, like everything's fake news. Like they're made to be so realistic that it's like, well, I mean, okay, this one couldn't be because there's no skull rolling out of Donald's head. But like that could be like there are abandoned theme parks, so like that could be. I like them.
Well, do you know what I've heard might be the next abandoned theme park? I keep hearing rumors that Walt Disney World's next gate will be called the Dark Kingdom. And the myth is that this next park is going to be geared towards teenagers and completely villain themed.
Heard this so many times.
What do you guys think of that?
Dear God, I hope they never make a theme park geared towards teenagers.
So I feel like this has been like rumored for decades.
Yeah, I've heard this one so many times, and I definitely would like a villains theme park, but
and I think the name of it changes every time that I hear it.
But the truth is, just like many things on this list and many things on the internet, there's just like no proof to support this. In fact, there's been a few like former Imagineers on Reddit to chime into these conversations, say like, nope, nobody here, like nobody in this office has ever been working on like something for a Dark Kingdom. Like no, just nope. So you can take that as it is and move on, that we were probably never getting a Dark Kingdom. But this rumor like probably just came to rise of like people on the internet being like, oh, have you heard? Again, probably like a creepypasta thing, being like, oh yeah, you guys, this is what, like, I just heard about this. It's going to be so cool. But chances are they were just looking at concept art for like another thing in the parks. For instance, in Tokyo Disneyland, there was a villain-themed attraction inside Cinderella's castle. It was called Cinderella Castle Mystery Tour, and when you're coming into it, you're thinking you're going to get like a nice, lovely tour of Cinderella's castle. But then things would go wrong.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So it reminded me a lot of Poseidon's Fury in Islands of Adventure, where you have like a guided like walkthrough experience, and like your guide is like spieling with things going on in the room, but you're encountering like different villains.
Yeah, I've watched a video of this before, and it's just so weird. I think it's on par with, like, Superstar Limo as being, like, just, what is this kind of thing?
Yes.
So, yeah, it didn't last very long in Tokyo.
And it's got a strong usage of the Black Cauldron, because this came out, like, right after, or, like, soon after the movie, and it just, like, wasn't super successful, and, yeah. That's weird, but creepy, and like the villains definitely got their like spotlight there. There was also a concept developed but that's really just it. It was a concept for a villain mountain, which was going to be like a log flume type ride in the Magic Kingdom, and guests would board Hades' boat in the underworld, and they would encounter a series of villains, but that really never got past the concept stage.
I don't know why, because that sounds like it would be a huge hit. That would be one of those, like, 10-hour line on opening day rides.
I think that would be so cool, and it would like satisfy all these people who like villains, and you don't need a whole park for it, but like a villain mountain would be really cool, although that's a lame name, so they should come up with something cooler, right? Like if they put a Grease pavilion in Epcot and went into like Hades' underworld and did something spooky.
Yo.
That'd be cool.
Yes. Do it, Disney. Do it. Steal
We
our
know
idea.
you're listening to this podcast.
Right?
And then apparently when the Blue Sky Cellar in California Adventure opened many moons ago, there was a villain-themed redo proposed of California Screamin' and a couple more attractions in that area, and they were going to call it Villain Village. So before Pixar Pier stole the name from Paradise Pier, I guess Villain Village was also on the table.
Villain Village sounds like a quaint little, like, it doesn't sound evil or anything like that. It's just like, oh, Villain
It
Village.
sounds cute.
Villain Village, they're all just hanging out. I just think it'd be weird to have, like, that doesn't seem very organic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they need to fix
weird.
their way of doing names. Okay, so one of my favorite little myths or places, honestly, to just like kind of watch videos and stuff is River Country. And it's not, I don't know, I feel like it's super forgotten about, and it's so cool. But the myth is that River Country closed, well, River Country and Discovery Island, but said that River Country closed because a brain-eating amoeba, sucked its teeth into all the people.
It sounds like a freaking sci-fi horror movie, but like an old one that they play at like the
But
sci-fi
really.
drive-in. The brain-eating amoeba from River Country.
That would be great. They should definitely do that.
Yeah, they won't.
They should.
They're
You're welcome,
lame.
Disney.
But anyway, so that's the reason why they say it shut down. And around the same time that this was going on, there was a death of an 11-year-old boy linked to the amoeba, but it was not a deciding factor for its closure. With the new water parks that opened up, Typhoon Lagoon and Blizzard Beach, River Country and the type of water park it became too costly to repair, so they just like temporarily closed it down one day, and it never opened again. So there you go.
Basically, what we're all hoping happens to Stitch's Great Escape.
Oh my god, right?
But then, but Discovery Island, also fairly, unknown. Place to observe wildlife, mostly birds, things like that. Super cool. I wish that I could have gone to there too. The myth to that is that they think that it shut down there due to Florida laws regarding bacteria in the water. But some people have said that the government bought the island from Disney and used it as a death camp.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's got to be true.
A death camp at Disney World. How fun.
But all those people with their strollers who run you over on your
Send
ankles.
them to the death camp.
That's where we send them. Uh-huh.
Straight to
Or
the
all
death
those
camp
people
for
on
you.
your flight who go, oh, are you going to Disney? Where are you staying? Oh, I'm staying at the Grand Floridian. I'm a DVC member. I've been a DVC member since 1990. I'm a founding member, and I only stay at the Grand or the Polynesian. I only stay at the Magic. Those people can also all go.
Straight to the death camp.
But here's the reason why it actually shut down is because they decided Animal Kingdom was going to be a thing. And the attendance decreased, and Disney decided to close it down. And the animals that were there were relocated to Animal Kingdom and other parks. So there you go. And those are dumb. Those are real dumb. Both of them.
There are a ton of birds on Discovery Island now. Like, just so many birds. You can see them sometimes if you're going over in that area. If you're on one of the boats going that way, you can see just like the massive amount of birds just living on that island. It's kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, to the River Country thing, the boy that died in 1980, and River Country didn't close down until 2001. So there was like that 20
if it was really him
there,
and he was the reason and all that happened, that shit would have been closed down real quick.
Debunked.
Okay, so the next urban legend we can tackle then, since we've debunked that last one, is that Disney uses scents to control your mind. People believe that the scents Disney uses on Main Street and various park attractions are actually used to
control your mind into going into the bakery and getting food, or control your mind into shopping. Like, get out of here.
Right. So the truth is that scent has found its way into the entertainment industry since the 1950s, when it was used in movie theaters to accompany film scenes. In 1984, Robert McCarthy filed a patent for scent-emitting systems to emit scent to 1 to 5 people. The patent photos remind me of, like, PhilharMagic. They show pictures of, like, a couple of, like, theater seats and the people being scented. It was a few years before that patent was filed, however, that the Epcot Center Today, little, like, newspaper thing, wrote, working with the Imagineers at WED Enterprises in California, Bob McCarthy has developed a smellitzer machine.
Yeah, I guess it's not smellitizer. I would say it.
Right, which is, everybody calls it a smellitizer, but Epcot called it a smellitzer machine. To add the aroma of everything from an erupting volcano in the University of Energy show to a tantalizing smell of barbecue or the fragrance of orange blossoms. Each will be keyed to a particular show scene to enhance the realism of experiences in Future World and World Showcase. So I guess Epcot was a real big driver for this. And they also said some of the smells will hardly be noticeable to most people. The aroma will be there, but the sensory perception may not be a conscious one. The WED engineers have learned how to regulate the strength or intensity of the odors used. The whole generation of antique techniques, special effects, and transportation systems are being developed for Epcot Center. So, in a way, they knew what they were doing. And I took a tour of Soarin' when I was on my college program in California, and they let us smell some of the like scent sources used in the attractions. So I know they have they have 3 scents there that they pump out onto the ride, but there are also many places around the park that feature this technology. The main one I think of, like Rachel mentioned, is the Main Street Confectionery. There are these little vents you can see under the windows that pump out like really sweet smelling air. And so I think like reading confectionery on the storefront, like I can go, okay, yeah, that's a confectionery, and I can walk right past. However, if I walk through the like cloud of sugary
your ass is going in there.
The machines, yes, and spending money. It's just so much harder to resist. So I cannot debunk that urban legend.
I would say it's true, but it's also true in the sense that it's not like mind control.
No, they're not like infecting my brain and now I become a zombie.
Yeah, it's not mind control. But everything they do, from the minute you walk in to the minute you leave, everything that you see, smell, taste, hear, and feel is all tailored to your experience. And to get you to spend more money. So of course they're using it to control like what your desires.
But it's not going to control your mind once you leave that park.
Yeah. You're not going to go home and like kill everybody. Like they're not controlling your mind to do that.
No, but you're going to go home and remember that smell, and you're going to be randomly walking through Bath and Body Works and smell a candle and have to buy 15 of them because they smell like Soarin'.
Or you get like a bazillion wax melts like me and Kelly do.
Yep.
I you know what? If they're controlling my mind with scents, go on ahead because I love it. So the next 2 urban legends are about some more Disney attractions. A lot of these urban legends surround attractions. This one is for Horizons. I don't actually know a ton about Horizons. If anybody else wants to jump in and explain what Horizons was.
It kind of showed you the future. It was like it was an omni-mover system, kind of similar to like Spaceship Earth and stuff. It took you through like what the future could look like through the ocean, through other things that I'm forgetting. Kind of like, at the end of Spaceship Earth, when you like choose your future and you can choose to be like ocean, space, something else. Like it was kind of like that. It just showed you what those future possibilities could look like.
You can go back and listen to our Extinct Attractions episode if you'd like to learn more.
You can. Or if you're like me and you forget things the minute you hear them, go back and listen to it again. So Horizons, the myth is that it was built on a sinkhole that was slowly making this attraction unstable. And then that's why it was closed down. So this could be possible because Disney was built on a swamp.
Right.
I mean, all of Florida, let's be honest, is a freaking swamp. But like most of Disney property is a swampland. And like if you've ever driven around, especially like the backstage areas or just like right off of property, like it's very swampy. And there are a lot of obvious like construction that's made around swamp, but it's made with swamps in mind. This wasn't like their first rodeo. Like they knew how to build things in this kind of environment. I think people also want to believe that because they don't want to think that Disney would just close down and replace a fan favorite. Like, I don't know, Great Movie Ride, Maelstrom, Illuminations. I could go on. So the actual truth behind this is the Horizons fell to declining attendance. Disney didn't want to spend a large amount of money to update it and repair it. I think we've heard this story before, like what happens with a lot of attractions. And this attraction was replaced the very next year by Mission Space in the same location. So Disney's not going to put a big attraction up over a sinkhole in a year. Yeah, that's not going to happen. It was very obviously just Horizons was not as popular as it once was. Disney wanted the space for something else and replaced it. There's nothing behind that. So go away with your Horizons sinkhole theory.
But that said, as you're talking about this being like, oh, attendance was low. I'm like, oh, like we've got to get more people into Carousel of Progress because
yeah, we really do. I'm really worried for it. I'm scared. I'm very scared because that is a big plot of piece of land that they could put shit to.
Look, if they're not shutting down Stitch and putting something else there, they should definitely leave Carousel of Progress alone.
That's true.
Right.
Take Stitch before
should.
You take Carousel of Progress.
Yeah.
Never mind. I feel okay.
100%. And I think with the opening of Tron, they will leave Tomorrowland alone for a little while, and hopefully we'll be able to hang on to our sweet, precious baby for a little bit longer.
What we're telling you is next time you go to Magic Kingdom, go to Tomorrowland and ride the Carousel of Progress.
Yeah.
Yes, ride the Carousel
Give
of Progress.
your favorite ride some love so they don't think they can take it from us.
Go buy Carousel of Progress themed merchandise on Etsy. Make Carousel of Progress things. Let's see some Carousel of Progress ears and outfits in the parks. Like, let's show them that we want Carousel of Progress to stay.
But just go. Just go.
Yeah, just go in it.
What Rachel said. Just be a body in a seat. Put your ass in a seat and fill it. Anyways, let me step down off my soapbox. We're going to talk about the urban legend of a hanging body and It's a Small
I never heard of
World.
this.
Yikes.
The myth is that a family saw a body hanging from the ceiling in It's a Small World shortly before they were evacuated off of the ride. There was also a myth that there's like an urban legend about a hanging actor in what's the movie that
The
is
Wizard of Oz?
Thank you, God. In The Wizard of Oz, mirrors this almost exactly. Like there's that you can see it on camera, that it's there and you can tell, and how could they not see that and take that out? Of course, what it ends up being is just a very inconveniently placed object that looks like a body. So this is exactly what it was. This body was discovered to be an unused puppet that had been stored in an unfortunate position.
Yikes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can imagine there was a cast member in some serious trouble, but there wasn't anyone dead.
And a couple of like traumatized children.
I'm sure. And you know how mob mentality goes. I'm sure one person saw it and said, oh my God,
It's
a body.
okay in the Haunted Mansion, so why isn't it okay in Small World?
I mean, it is a world of laughter and a world of tears, so that just gave you the tears. And a world of fears and hopes and fears.
Oh my
so
God, that's awful.
You just got to get all of it in that cute
I
little
can't
ride.
picture a hanging body painted in a Mary Blair portrait. You know, we just need to show a valid, like a realistic representation of the world, and sometimes bad things happen. Yikes.
Also, I feel like if you're either going to hang yourself or you're going to murder someone and hang them, why Small World? It's going to be pretty obvious that that's a person and not a little Small World doll. So I don't understand how anybody would have been like, oh my God, a body. If it was a puppet. Like it was obviously a puppet.
I mean,
yes. Yes, it
Have you
was.
seen pictures? Do you know it? Or do you think cast members like, it was just, you just saw a puppet. A giant
Wink,
5
wink,
foot
wink,
puppet.
wink.
Okay, now we're moving into the conspiracy theory territory.
That's just really where I feel comfortable living. You know, like somewhere between urban legend and conspiracy theory. That's really where I feel comfortable.
Yeah, so we are moving on to our final urban legend. And as I was doing the research for this episode, I took to Instagram and asked you guys if you had any urban legends you'd like us to discuss or debunk. I think we got another one about a ghost, so we're going to save that one for Katie's episode some point in time in the future. So this one came from _Kayla_Rose, and she said that this still scares her to this day. And the myth is that if you raise your hands up in Space Mountain, they'll hit the structure above you.
girl, I do not put my hands nowhere but on the seat.
That is the most terrifying thought. And I have a really large husband whose wingspan is like 7 feet. I the first time we rode it, and every time we ride it still, I tell him, please don't raise your hands. Even though I know it's fine.
It's definitely fine.
I feel
Don't
like
raise
I
your hands.
duck my head the whole ride,
right.
let alone raise my hands.
Yeah, I really scoot down into that seat and like
I touch the seat in front of
and
me
give
and that's all I
myself as much
touch.
room
I
as
ain't playing
possible.
around. I don't care. I want to die. I don't want to lose my fingers. I don't want to lose my hands. No.
Yeah, so I'd be lying if I say that one doesn't scare me. Like, it terrifies me. I don't ever put my hands up. Well, I think I might have done it once or twice before, but it's freaky. It's kind of like a little like a adrenaline rush that you get.
I think I've done it once tipsy, and that's it. And it was only because I was tipsy. And I was like, I'm not afraid of anything.
I was going to say, how are you tipsy at the Magic Kingdom? But never mind. There are ways
Girl,
now.
park hop till you drop.
There are ways.
Yeah, so it is completely safe to put your hands up. The track/structure of Space Mountain does seem like it's all too close together, especially if you've watched a video or ridden it with the lights on. Like that, it just looks terrifying. Space Mountain's been operating since 1975. There's been one death, but it wasn't related to knocking anything or any limbs or heads. A girl had a heart condition, and she rode the ride and died afterwards. But Disney go blah, 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 blah. I'm going to have so many of those in this episode.
Yeah.
Disney attractions go through so much testing, and they're not going to put bars or track too close because they know that people do like enjoy putting their hands up and stuff like that. I'm still not gonna do it because it's creepy.
I do it. I duck my
you
head,
serious?
but I put my hands up.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally serious.
Stephanie, you have to sit in the back. That way, if your hand gets knocked off, we don't get blood all over us, okay?
There's also that hill in Thunder Mountain where it looks like you're gonna hit your head on like
Yes.
the rafters above you.
Oh, God,
Yeah,
I hate
that one gets
that
me
one.
too every single time, even though I'm not gonna hit it.
Cameron screams like a little girl every time we hit that hill.
But can you imagine how many like incident reports they would have to fill out if like this wasn't actually like a thing?
Yeah.
Or how many people you would see like coming like screaming coming off the ride with like bloody hands?
And the ride would be closed.
awful.
It would just be gone. So there you go.
Definitely. I'm 5'2" and I still get freak out. Yeah. I can't imagine being Cameron's height and riding that. That would just I don't think I'd be able to do it.
No. Yeah, he told me I kind of ruined it for him because the very first time he rode it, I was like, just like don't put your hands up and maybe just like sit low in your seat. And he was like, am I going to die? And I was like, I know in my head that you're not going to, but like just do it to make me feel better.
Yeah. So, anybody else have anything they want to add?
I really want to talk about death. So I'm going to need all of our listeners, all like 7 of you, to tell us that you want to talk about death too.
I would just like to say, although we debunked a lot of these urban legends, I still think they're fun to tell other people. So feel free to continue on like they are God's truth.
I would also really like to hear about your favorite bizarre Disney thing that is true. That's not an urban legend. Because there's a lot of those too. So let's hear about your favorite Disney oddity.
This was such a fun episode to research and learn from, and I hope that you all enjoyed listening to it. If you're into the creepier side of things like I am, and apparently like everybody else on this podcast is, and would like to hear some more spooky stuff, let us know for sure, because we could definitely churn out some spooky Disney episodes. We'd be happy to make more, and you can email you can email us those ideas at spillingthemadtea@gmail.com.
Don't forget to tag us in your spooky pants on Instagram at spillingthemadtea.
Tweet us over at spillingmadtea.
And like us on Facebook. We are Spilling the Mad Tea there.
Have a fantastic Halloween. You might hear from us again before Halloween's actually here, but just in case you don't, because we never know what we're doing. Have a happy Halloween.
So true. Truest statement of this whole
That is not an urban legend.
Yeah. Debunked. Stay creepy and stay spooky and have a great time being yourself. Bye.
Bye.
Be spooky and stay safe. Bye.